So it looks like Arsenal's transfer plans are finally coming together and they have decided on their first two signings for this summer. And then they look ready to move for a winger and more reinforcements as Andrea Berta is going to have his first transfer window at Arsenal. There's big updates coming out on Sesko. It looks like Arsenal have chosen Sesko over Gyokeres as their striker. Now, everybody under the sun knows that Arsenal need a striker. I sometimes joke that Arteta somehow doesn't know that because every time I read the news, it's look at this goalkeeper, look at this defender, look at this midfielder. Nah, Arteta, mate, get a striker. Like the striker is the priority. Striker and left wing is the priority for Arsenal. But it looks like they know that. It looks like they are going to sign a striker, and it looks like that striker is now going to be Sesko and not Gyokeres. Romano also confirms a new deal is close for Gabriel. We've got updates on Arsenal's winger plans, and after they get the striker over the line, they're going to sign a winger. But Arsenal have decided on Zubimendi, then Sesko, then on a winger as part of their plan. So in today's video, we're going to break down Arsenal's transfer plans. We're going to talk about Benjamin Sesko, why that would be a good signing for Arsenal, Nico Williams, Gittins, Anthony Gordon, Rodrygo, links on those players. We're going to get into all the latest Arsenal news that you need to know, but like only from like somewhat credible sources. So if you do enjoy today's video, feel free to hit that like button. Of course, subscribe if you're new and want more transfer content and more. I'll try and do videos whenever some relevant news comes out. And obviously the big news is on Sesko today, and it has been reported by Fabrizio Romano that he understands Arsenal have started moving initial concrete talks for Benjamin Sesko deal. He's always been high on the recruitment team. Management, Mikel Arteta's list, obviously since last year, you guys almost tried to go for him, but then he decided to stay, I think, at Leipzig. But Sesko will now leave Leipzig, and that puts Arsenal as the favourites. Nobody's really been linked as concrete to Sesko as Arsenal. Look, I don't think Man United are going to go for him. And I think Arsenal would probably beat him. Chelsea have got the lap now. They don't need Sesko. Liverpool look more at Ekitike. I think this is Arsenal's opportunity. And interestingly, reports out of Germany suggested a couple of days ago that Arsenal had chosen sort of Sesko over Gyokeres to be their next signing. So Florian Plettenberg is good when it comes to news out of the Bundesliga, and he said this: Sporting director Berta has already held direct talks with RB Leipzig sporting director. It was also said discussions are focused on Sesko, and Arsenal are now in concrete negotiations. His release clause is 80 million euros, which is about 65 million pounds. I think that's a little bit expensive for Sesko. I think he's about a 50 million pound player. Could Arsenal get that down? That's going to be the question mark. And while Arsenal are tracking other options like Victor Gyokeres, the pursuit of Sesko is seen as serious. Mikel Arteta and the club chiefs are big fans. I think the fact that they've now started moving towards Sesko, and there's, despite reports from Portugal going, not Man United, that Arsenal have done this for Gyokeres and that for Gyokeres, all the news that Arsenal have made a move for Gyokeres and, agreed a deal for Gyokeres or had terms agreed or have made a bid, it's not come out from reliable sources to any of the Gyokeres news. Hence why on my channel, I've not been doing 50 videos on Gyokeres to Arsenal like other channels because a lot of it has just come from nonsense sources. All the reliable sources are now saying, Arsenal making that move for Sesko. They seem to have done more for Sesko than Gyokeres because while we know Arsenal like Gyokeres and there's been a lot of movement, a lot of it has come out from Portuguese sources or not very good sources and really jumping the gun. And it looks like actually Arsenal have been holding talks with Sesko and are pressing ahead with him over Gyokeres. It was also said that Mikel Arteta views Sesko as his first choice striker target. I wouldn't be shocked if Berta wanted Gyokeres and Arteta wanted Sesko, and because of that, they've now gone for Sesko, but maybe Berta was pushing for Gyokeres. RB Leipzig value him, as I said, 80 million euros, but I reckon Arsenal could do a deal for maybe 55 million pounds. Leipzig's willingness to negotiate stems from missing out on Champions League revenue, which means they could lower the fee, which makes Arsenal probably more inclined to do this. And Arsenal remain in concrete talks. So, as far as I'm aware, Zubimendi is done. Arsenal working on Sesko. They're going to get the striker signing in, which is big for them. That's the guy they want. If they can't get Sesko, I think they go for Gyokeres. But it looks like it's Sesko that they want. That looks like to be Mikel Arteta's priority. Romano also said that Arsenal are very, very close to reaching agreement with Gabriel over a new long-term deal. And I'm going to say this now. Gabriel has been better than Saliba the last 18 months. He's been so good for Arsenal. So Gabriel signing a new deal is good news for Arsenal as well. So he's going to sign a new deal to 2030. So Zubimendi's done. You've chosen Sesko over Gyokeres. That deal's advancing. There's a feeling that Arsenal will do that, but you never know. It's not done or official yet, but it looks like that's the guy Arsenal decided to get as the second signing. Gabriel, new deal was very close, but Arsenal want a winger. Zubimendi, that is confirmed. He will have his medical soon. The Here We Go is there as of weeks ago. Sesko's now the one they're working on opening talks on, but they also want a winger. So what do we know on Arsenal's plan? And I'm going to talk about Sesko in detail in a second. So any Arsenal fans wanting my thoughts on Sesko, I'm going to talk about that in a second. I think Gyokeres is a better player than Sesko. I think Sesko's raw, and I think you have to be patient with Sesko. But I think as a long-term project, Sesko could be very exciting. But I think when I've watched him, I will say he is raw, but I will say there's bags of potential in that guy. But yeah, Zubimendi will be the first signing. One of Sesko or Gyokeres will be the second signing. It looks like Sesko now. Then Arsenal will look to sign a winger, as revealed by many sources. Centre-back and goalkeepers being looked at. There's the Joan Garcia links. But you need to get a winger and a striker. Spend the budget on that. I know Arteta loves defenders and goalkeepers and midfielders, but you've got to get those two signings in. And then Gabriel set to sign a new deal. So, Andrea Berta will plan to sign Sesko, a new winger, with Williams at the top of the list, according to some sources. Gordon, Leao, Gittins also wants to watch in regards to Arsenal. So, obviously, this was said last week that they had to choose between Sesko and Gyokeres. One of the two's like to join. It looks like it's going to be Sesko now. But they won't stop after Sesko, according to Graham Bailey. Pardon me. Arsenal want to sign two new forwards this summer, a wide player and a striker. Sources confirmed to TBR Football that the new deal for Leandro Trossard and Martinelli would not impact those plans. So he is saying that Arsenal want to make two attacking additions, not just a striker, but a winger. They need a left winger. There's question marks over Martinelli, there's question marks over Trossard. If you compare it to the output that Salah has, how Diaz has been this season, you need to take that pressure off Saka to be the main winger, the clear winger. Now, what is the winger news? Because you've been linked to a number of players. There's Gittins, there's Leao, there's Rodrygo, there's Anthony Gordon links. We're going to get through them. So, apparently Andrea Berta had a telephone exchange with Leao a dozen days ago. He remains on Arsenal's shortlist, but it's not the top target. And that was said by Santi. And he is a good source of information, but he's probably further down the list. I think Barcelona are closing in on Rashford, but I also wouldn't be shocked if you did go for Rashford. It has been said that on the left, Nico Williams is the priority, but his wages make it difficult. Leao and Gittins have been looked at too. And Rodrygo and Premier League clubs is one to watch. Arsenal is still exploring a deal for Rodrygo. I mean, Rodrygo is the best out of those names. Nico Williams is a little bit overrated, in my opinion, especially for the wages he's asking for. I think he's good. I think he's direct, but he's very inconsistent. Jamie Gittins is a good player. Like, Leao's the most ready-made. But I will tell you, in my opinion, and everybody's going to disagree with me on this. Everyone's going to disagree with me on this. But I think the best left winger for Arsenal, I'm thinking Prem proven, is Anthony Gordon. I think and people won't agree with me on this because I've seen polls. Rodrygo's who you should get. Rodrygo's the best option by far. But I do think Anthony Gordon's better than Nico Williams, in my opinion. Like, I think Nico Williams will be a good signing and he's versatile. He can play on the right. But I think Gordon would be the best one. And look, Isak is not leaving Newcastle. Arsenal are not getting Isak. Okay, Bruno Guimaraes, there's rumours of him. He's not going anywhere. But the one that I think could maybe go, because there was question marks around him last summer. There's a few question marks around him now. Obviously, Barnes coming in and sort of taking his place a bit. Gordon. Now, this was said by a Newcastle journalist as well, Mark Douglas, that Arsenal and Chelsea are among clubs interested in Gordon. Newcastle believed to value the winger at around 80 million. There is a growing speculation with recruitment circles about his future being unsettled. Now, I honestly think Anthony Gordon would be a fantastic signing for Arsenal. And I've said this before. Arsenal need someone that's going to help them in counter-attack, someone that's going to help them in transition, someone with a bit of pace, and Anthony Gordon brings that. Arsenal statistically are one of the worst clubs in the Premier League when it comes to transitions, when it comes to counter-attacks, and Gordon does that. Arsenal needs someone that's direct. Gordon does that. Arsenal needs someone that show up in big games that's not Saka. Gordon does that for Newcastle. He's a runner. He works hard. He can hold the width. I think Gordon would be fantastic. And he's Premier League proven. And even though he's had a bit of a dip this season, we know what he's capable of. Like, if you can get Rodrygo, go for Rodrygo. But I also think if you get Rodrygo, you'll want an attacking Gyokeres type left back. I think Anthony Gordon could be a good one. Anyway, so let's talk about Sesko, because we've spoken about Zubimendi, but we haven't spoken about Sesko in big depth. We spoke about Zubimendi in past videos, is what I mean, but we haven't spoken about Sesko in big depth on this channel. But look, I think Gyokeres is the better striker. I think with Arsenal wanting to win the league next season and go from second to first, I personally would go for Victor. I would have gone for Victor Osimhen. And you haven't really been linked to him, but if I was Arsenal, I would have chosen Victor Osimhen, and then I would have gone for Gyokeres, and then I would have gone for Sesko. But I think Sesko, in terms of the long-term project, this is a talent. This is an incredible talent. The question is, how ready will he be next season? I mean, if you look at the goals he scored, the bangers he scored this season, like he has scored some good goals. Obviously, been in the Champions League. He's got 21 goals and 6 assists this season. That's 27 goal contributions. That's pretty decent output. And look, with the goals that Marino was scoring at Arsenal when he played striker, Havertz getting 20 goals at striker, with the service he will get at Arsenal, there's no doubt in my mind he will bag goals at Arsenal. He's 6'5". He brings a big physical presence. And I think Arteta loves tall players. Is that just me? Or does Arteta love a tall player? Now, what's interesting is sometimes you see a tall player and you think they'll be slow, but he's really quick, he's really mobile, and he's technically tidy. He's been compared as the next Haaland by a lot of people, and he's kind of the guy that can run in behind, is quite lanky, is quite tall, is quite physical, decent in the air, but his ceiling is very high. There's often questions of his passing, his hold-up, could it improve? Could elements of the Premier League cause him issues? Like, he's raw, it's a risk. But I remember when Isak joined Newcastle, a lot of people were questioning elements of Isak's game and if it would work in the Premier League. And I think Sesko has that similarity there, where element of it is a risk, but like if he's good, like he's gonna be really good. Do you know what I mean? I think he thrives in attacking space and stretching distances. If Arsenal can give him the ball, let him in the channel, actually get in front of the ball, he's very, very good at that. But he is two-footed. He's a good finisher. He's a better finisher than the Havertz. He works hard off the ball. He presses. He's good with both feet. Like, Sesko is a very good striker, and I think as well, what impresses me about Sesko is his movement. I watch Rasmus Højlund for Manchester United week in, week out. And watching Rasmus Højlund's movement is so painful. Like Chido Obi, who we've actually signed from Arsenal, he hasn't scored a goal for us yet because he's only played limited minutes. But he'll be on the pitch and he'll get in much better areas than Højlund. And we've given Obi more chances than Højlund. Højlund's movement is so poor. And I think that's underrated for a striker. And I think Sesko, in terms of movement, looks good. He's very good at finding the angles and running in behind. He's good in the air. He's a good set-piece weapon as well. His hold-up play has massively improved. This time a year ago, there was questions over his hold-up play, but it's improved. You can see that all his weaknesses are coachable and they're slowly improving. And I think he's got a good mentality, works hard, presses, shows maturity in big game. But I think what he's got is the pace, the power, the instinct, and it gives something a little bit different. It gives something a little bit different to Kai Havertz. And if you bring someone in like Sesko, that one can also give Arsenal more transition threat, a more natural striker, or more natural finisher, as well as maybe having an explosive winger that's going to take people on, put crosses in the box, go 1v1, then I think that's exactly what Arsenal's attack need. Like, Nico Williams is a very direct winger, and I think Nico Williams would be good for Arsenal. I still think he's a bit overrated, but I think he would be a good signing for Arsenal. He's got the acceleration. He's a very good dribbler. I think Arsenal wants someone that's direct, that's going to make things happen. I think he can stretch the pitch. He can, he offers that width and that space, and he can open up space for other players and other runners. And I think it would give Arsenal more versatility in attack. His end product's improved. Goals, assists, it's all right. Like, he's definitely more of a creator than a goal scorer, in my opinion. But look, his arrival could also give Martinelli some actual competition and give Martinelli a kick up the arse and unlock him and give Arteta rotation options, because even if he wants to rotate Saka, Nico Williams can play on the right. So it could be a good bit of business. But obviously, this is Andrea Berta's first window. I think if Arsenal get Zubimendi, Sesko and a good winger in, I think that's a pretty good summer from Arsenal. They need to stop faffing around with defensive-minded players and make sure they sort out their attack. I still think Rodrygo is the best option on the wing. I think Osimhen would have been the best striker option, but I do think in terms of future and potential, it could be quite an exciting rebuild for Arsenal. Arsenal fans, let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.